handle my business's expenses. I can handle my personal expenses. And I know that I have something left. But here's what we miss and what I want to make sure that we don't gloss over in Kristi's vulnerability. I want you to know that you can be profitable and you can label yourself as profitable without really knowing your numbers. Why? Because you see money coming in, your money's going out, and you know some is left over.
Yeah.
But do you know the particular?
Between May 2020 and December 2021, I have secured $8,121,009.35 in legitimate funding for Black and minority-owned businesses. My name is Taliba Bells, and I'm the host of the Black and Bankable podcast. Effective immediately, I am coming for more for the community.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Black and Bankable podcast. Let me tell you something, and I say this for all the episodes, but that's because all the episodes are fire. So I'm pretty sure every episode I'm gonna open up saying this is my favorite because it's a mixture of just knowing who my CEO is, just knowing the conversations that we've been having outside of this podcast. I just know it's going to be good. I just know that if you tuned in, you want to learn all about what it means to be Black and Bankable. And with our special guest, you're going to leave with some tools and some gems. It's just by design. So welcome to this episode. And I have with me one of my clients, one of my colleagues. We have been in the same spaces of social media for at least a year, probably a couple of years. But this is Kristi Alderson. She is the CEO of Kinky Roots and the co-founder of Twisted Sisters. Or what's your specific position with Twisted Sisters? Because you know what? We got to talk about all of that.
Okay. So with Twisted Sisters, I am the Chief Marketing Officer.
Okay.
And Twisted Sisters is a veteran-owned, woman and minority-owned wine brand.
Yes.
It's based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And I am a co-founder with my partner, Ogechi Anyatone, who is a TSU alum and graduate, and also a Vanderbilt graduate as well.
Okay.
So we started the Twisted Sisters brand in January of 2019, and here we are today.
And stop. You got to tell us where all we may enjoy this wine. I already have a teaser in the sense that I found it during homecoming, during Fisk University's homecoming this past year in what used to be called R&R when I was at Fisk. But yes, please tell those of us who are wine connoisseurs and want to support Twisted Sisters where we can find your wines as well.
I sure will. So we are still in R&R in Nashville, Tennessee. Actually, R&R is one of our flagship stores that picked us up first. We're in over 50 stores and restaurants in Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
We're also in Knoxville, Total Wine, and we're in Chattanooga.
Awesome.
We were in Costco. We're hoping to go back to Costco in Memphis.
Okay.
And working on getting back into the Nashville airport.
Okay.
And you can also purchase our wine online through our website, Twisted Sisters. That's SISTUHS.com.
Okay.
We're sold we ship in over 47 states. So wherever you are, we'll send you a bottle.
Wow. So you can kind of see where I'm coming from, and it started with the wine. Now y'all know that didn't have anything to do.
Yes.
They did not have. Yeah, you know.
Hold on 1 second.
Let's go get this. See, this is how we. You know, I'm supposed. There we go. Yes, Yes,
This is
indeed.
our bottle.
Yes.
Twisted
And
Sister
and
wine.
what type of wine is that you're showing us, Christy?
This is our bourbon barrel aged red wine blend.
Okay.
So for
Yes.
those of you who don't have a sweet tongue or palate,
Hmm.
this is for you. So you can taste little subtle hints of the bourbon in this particular red blend. And we have a Moscato as well.
Yes.
That's really, really good. I don't have that bottle here with me, but
I think that
it's
might have been the one
amazing.
I tried in R&R.
Yes, it's
Definitely
amazing.
yummy. Definitely yummy. Black Girl
Yes.
Magic, Black
Yes.
Girl Veteran, woman owned, Twisted Sisters. Yes. And I
Yes.
definitely started with the wine. I mean,
Yes.
But I promise you, there's so much more to this conversation. What
Yes.
I want to do, Christy, to make sure that our audience leaves with some gems. Every time that we have CEOs on, we want to hear real stories. We want to
Yes.
hear how you started, how some challenges, some failures, and then that future forward. So, you've already shared with us about Twisted Sisters. Of course, I've also said that you're the CEO of Kinky Roots. I'm sure the stories are slightly different, but I would love for you to share with our viewers and listeners how you decided, like what made you decide to become a small business owner.
With me, because I started off doing hair in high school.
Okay.
So hair is like my passion.
Hmm.
And I joined the military right after graduation. It
Okay.
was actually 4 days. I went into the Navy 4 days after I graduated high school. And
Okay.
while I was in the Navy, I was still doing hair on the side. So um, I worked on F-18s, the radar communication and navigation systems,
Okay.
did that for 4 years, got
Hmm.
out, and worked in my field, in the technical field,
Okay.
working on cell phones and stuff of that nature. But still, I wasn't happy.
Hmm.
So found out about a natural hair school here in Nashville,
Hmm.
enrolled, actually did that on the side while I was working. And
Hmm.
once I got done, I was like, this is it. Like, I've got to do this full time. Didn't
Yes.
have a client,
Hmm.
zero client, and went for it. Like, I was married at the time and told my husband that this is what I
Hmm.
wanted to do. I was going to
Hmm.
quit my job, and just built my business from scratch. When I say I didn't have a client, a clue of how I was going to
Hmm. Hmm.
scale,
Hmm. Hmm.
it was just something innate in me, and that's just what I had to do.
And what year was that? How long ago was that?
This was in 2004.
Hmm.
So I've been in the beauty business for over 18 years. Yep.
Awesome. And then Twisted Sisters intersected in what year?
Twisted Sisters intersected in 2019.
Okay.
It was a group of me and three of my girlfriends who
Hmm.
I just so happened to do their hair. We
Hmm.
always hung out together. We always partied together. And
Hmm.
so Shayla, who's one of the founders as well, she passed away in 2020.
Okay.
She wanted all of us to go into business together. She
Hmm.
wanted us to do like retail and get some property and stuff like that, but none of
Hmm.
us was like feeling that really. But
Hmm.
when it came to, you know, the alcohol business
Hmm.
or the wine business, we were like, okay, let's see what that's about. So Ogechi did most of the research.
Hmm.
And once we came together, it was just like so seamless. Like we loved being together, celebrating together, drinking together, partying together. So this business for us was very easy.
Just an easy addition, not even a
Yes,
transition, but an addition. And so,
yes.
what I hear from the origins of
Hmm.
you being an entrepreneur, a mompreneur, a veteran-owned business is a passion. And I think
Yes.
that's what drives all of us. No
Hmm.
one really gets into business to not be fulfilled. It is
Right.
like this calling where you are seeking something that just feels good. And
Yes.
so, you know, that most of us, we lead with that passion, that desire to be
Mhm.
satisfied in serving
Right.
us, and of course, making it profitable. So now
Right.
let's see, we want to pull out that challenge because the passion came
Mhm.
naturally, right? In both
Yes.
instances, you had the passion for doing hair. You also had the passion with your business bestie and sister circle to
Yes.
get into the wine business. But now let's talk about the road to profits, the road to doing this the right way, because
Yes.
that's not what comes so easily, right? And
Right.
what I love about having Kristi on today is that Kristi is in Tennessee. One of the things that I always share, particularly with new clients, obviously my firm is headquartered in Alabama and able to have clients across the United States. But it's so important that you know your state requirements as well,
Mhm.
because the states are different and they require different things. They have different resources when it comes to just the beginning all the way to the end. So let's talk about, Kristi, some of the initial challenges and even challenges now that you wish you would have known, right,
Mhm.
before you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. What are some of the challenges that you've occurred along the way?
Well, initially, I started off as a sole proprietor.
Okay.
And when I started off in 2004, I had two young daughters that I was
Mhm.
raising. At the
Mhm.
time, I was married and I ended up getting a divorce a few
Mhm.
years later. And so
Mhm.
I was raising two kids by myself,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
with this salon business. I
Yes.
didn't actually profit until 2 years after my doors opened. So
Okay.
I profited in 2006. And when
Okay.
I say profit, that means I was able to pay my bills, pay the
Yes.
salon expenses, and pay the bills
Yes.
that I have at home and take care of my daughters. So
Yes.
that took me 2 whole years. And as
Mhm.
I began to grow, my clientele grew in 2006 and onward.
Mhm.
I was able to put, my one of my daughters through private school.
Mhm.
I was able to get my own salon suite studio,
Mhm.
um, able to get a logo, things of that nature. But
Mhm.
I didn't really begin to see I guess how can I put it? The labor, the fruits of my labor
Okay.
until actually met you. And with you, you
Okay.
gave me insight as far as like
Mhm.
how to structure my business, as far as,
Mhm.
accounting aspects and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
'Cause I was just busy, just being a mom and
Mhm.
hey, this is
Mhm.
what I made. Here you
Mhm.
go. But you really sat me down and was like, okay, this is what needs to happen.
Mhm.
Here's A, B, and C. This is how we get to X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
So once I once I really started paying attention to the numbers,
Mhm.
then I started handling my business a whole lot differently.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And well, first of all, I wasn't expecting. I'm sure people saw like, oh,
Yeah, she
I'm
got
so
me by
engrossed in the conversations. Like, you know what, Kristi is my client. but
yeah.
but seriously, I think that we can't leave that unpinned. We got to dig
Mhm.
deeper into that because I see this ever so often with my clients, especially client. I want y'all to be sure that you pull out that Kristi was profitable at the
Mhm.
time that we started working together. And I want to define profitable. I want to drill into that because Kristi described herself as profitable. I want
Yes.
you as a viewer, as a listener, to write that word profitable down. And
Mhm.
I want you to ponder on, particularly for my business owners, what
Mhm.
does profitable mean for you?
Mhm.
And then how do you know if you're profitable? So
Right.
Kristi said She was able to pay for the salon expenses. She was able to put one of her daughters through private school and other expenses, and that meant that she was profitable. And in most cases, we define profitability by, okay, I can handle my business's expenses, I can handle my personal expenses, and I know that I have something left. But here's what we miss, and what I want to make sure that we don't gloss over in Kristi's vulnerability. I want you to know that you can be profitable, and you can label yourself as profitable without really knowing your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you see money coming in, your money's going out, and you know some is left over.
Yeah.
But do you know the particulars? That's why I want y'all to make sure that you actually capture what Kristi is saying, because that is the state of a lot of business owners right now that believe, okay, I may not need to be working with someone to see my numbers, or I may, or lower or prioritizing it not as much as they should. And this, my friends, is even if you aren't profitable. But because Kristi said that word and described to you all what profitable meant for her, I had to grab it out of there, because profitable does not equal I know my numbers. Profitable, I'd even insert comfortable, right? And then you're just sort of operating. You're just sort of going along. Your passion is fulfilled. You're handling your bills. You're putting your kids through school. I've been there. We've all been there. But baby, let me tell you, when you see those numbers, let's talk about that, Kristi. So it's like, but when you see the numbers, whether that's numbers on the final tax return, or like Kristi and I are working with monthly, or you're monthly seeing those numbers, what's the difference, Kristi, in those two state of minds as a CEO?
Knowing your numbers gives you an idea of how to price your services
Mm.
or price your products.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
mean, you know what you have to pay for
mm-hmm.
business wise and personally. Those numbers don't change.
Right.
So if you are, like for me in a beauty business,
Mm-hmm,
I have structured my numbers to cover
mm-hmm,
both my personal and my business expenses. And I have other expenses outside of that. I have three businesses. I have
mm-hmm,
a salon business, a product
mm-hmm,
business, and then
mm-hmm,
there's Twisted Sisters.
mm-hmm.
So I have, and understand the salon is my only source of
Mhm,
income. So
mhm,
I have to structure my services and my time
mhm,
where
mhm.
I'm making money every time I step foot in that salon space.
Okay.
So
Right.
I know my numbers, like they are embedded in my head. I know what I need to make every
Mhm,
week,
mhm.
every
Okay,
day that I'm in there, and every
okay,
month. Yeah.
okay. And you're now, so now you're empowered. I think it really activates beast mode. You already had beast mode. Beast mode just being Kristi, beast mode in the Navy, beast mode as a mom, you know what I mean? Beast mode as a serial entrepreneur. But it's something about numbers. Especially if you're like a visual person like us, like
Mhm.
it's something about numbers. I heard you say, I know what I need to make a day, a week, or whatever. Knowing those numbers, right? Rooting that in actual numbers is really, I mean, like I said, that's just where the beast mode goes. And then it doesn't stop. One
Yeah.
of the things that Kristi and I worked on, and because she's a serial entrepreneur and always growing, and she's a creative too, like she's always thinking of these wonderful ideas, um, is I want to use an accounting term, is a chart of accounts. And I say this in my trainings, and in hearing Kristi, I feel like I need to say it in this podcast episode. It's more to just having a P&L. It's more to just having a balance sheet. You
Mhm.
need to have your numbers make sense to you. meaning, we're tracking, the products revenue. We're tracking the hair salon revenue. You want to be able to look at your financial statements and see those various pots of revenue so that you can measure, as Kristi said, you can measure how much, if you're charging the right way, if you're putting the proper value and respect on your time, but also measuring those costs so that you can really know your level of profitability. So now we're migrating from profitability. I know I'm profitable because I can see that it feels like I'm profitable, to a percentage of profitability, to a, the first 6 months of the year, I want to be at 20% profitability. The last six, I want to be at 70%. You know what I mean? Like, those are the types of things. That is what Kristi is experiencing in just a few, really short months of us really focusing on getting those numbers how she needs to see them, again, for her creative to come out and for her business acumen that's already there to come out. And then, we got to highlight this whole, like, she's Black and bankable. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't take long, and all she needed was to, as I always say, to have your financial documents in order. You can have your green paper together, but the white paper has to be together, period, point blank. Because another thing I think we fall in the trap in, and Kristi, please let me know if you agree, is, sometimes, whether it just be culturally or whatever, when we're profitable, we are just kind of accustomed to paying for everything ourselves, right? Instead of using other people's money, is basically where I'm going. Like, maybe being bankable is not at the top of everybody's list because they're credit averse, or because they don't have their financial paperwork together, so they can't apply for grants or for loans. Talk to me and tell the audience about the journey that you have been on in the last couple of months of this year when it comes to basic. I need to get you a Bankable CEO shirt because baby, you are bankable. Talk to us about those wins.
Okay, so because let me tell you, Khalifa got me all the way together. So there was, let me tell you first about being a veteran. There are a lot of resources out there, free resources for us entrepreneurs that are veterans, that I didn't even realize until earlier this year. Actually last year, I dived into it deep last summer when me and Ogechi did a pitch contest at Belmont. I met this guy named Keontae, and Keontae introduced me to Rob Corrigan, who is the director of the Veteran Business Outreach Center.
Okay.
From there, he gave me a slew of resources and information that I just didn't know that was available to me. He told me first I needed to structure my business from a sole prop to a LLC for banks to take me seriously.
Number one. Yes.
Number one. Secondly, he told me that there were a lot of courses that I could take, free courses, on getting information about, how to structure my business, the legalities of it. Just, it was 1,000 things he told me.
Yes.
So the first thing I did was contacted Taliba and was like, okay, I'm finna go from a sole prop to a LLC.
Yeah.
Long story short, did that. I think in Tennessee it was $300. Converted my business to a LLC, from a sole prop to a LLC, and I ended up getting in contact with this woman named Ann Weber. She had like this free webinar where she talked about the Nashville Small Business Recovery Fund.
Okay.
There were a list of prerequisites that you had to have. Having a credit score of over 600, being in business for over 2 years, be structured as a LLC, this long laundry list of things. And as she read off each list, there was somebody hung up the phone and hung up the phone and hung up. I was still on the line. And she was like, Kristi, you still there? I'm like, still here. So from there, she got me in touch with Pathway Lending. And with
Mhm.
Pathway Lending, they wanted, of course, all this information regarding, you know, my financial statements, tax returns, my LLC, proof of LLC, and all these things. Now, what they don't tell you is when you get your LLC that you have to file an annual report. You're responsible for franchise and excise taxes. You're
Mhm.
responsible for to have an updated business license. You have a if you are purchasing products wholesale, you have to have a sales and use tax. All this stuff I did not know.
It
So they don't
well,
teach you these
and let's
things.
and let's drill into that, because that, my friends, is where the states, like the differences in the states, because of course all these
Yeah.
things that she's listed, there is absolutely some commonality here, because the same level of checklists exists in Alabama and everywhere. But I think that what we have to do, what we just have to do, especially now that there's literally billions of dollars out here for us when it comes to business owners, is we actually have, there has to be a level of accountability for these organizations that are getting grants to serve minority owned businesses, veteran owned businesses, women, any owned business, and simply
Mhm.
ask, and I mean, hey, where you're filling out the paperwork, that's the source. Every state has a Secretary of State. Pick up the phone and call and ask. Now you may get a roundabout, right? Because there's the Secretary of State, there's the Department of Revenues for each state. There's so many different entities, but when it comes to these things, and it can draw some of the energy and passion out of you. However, as Kristi will share with us, and as she saw, I don't know if y'all heard, like, as the lady was going down the checklist, people like, I'm out. And that's what we're trying to change. Like, that's what we're trying to
Mhm.
push through. But take the nose, or take this long checklist, or take this, I don't even know what all I need to do, and make it your checklist as things
Yeah.
that you need to track down, whether again it's picking up the phone, going directly to the organization in your state, whatever it may be. It is going to require skin in the game from the sense of your brain space. I think we
Mhm.
automatically go into starting a business knowing that we're going to have to put some financial skin in the game, but I don't
Mhm.
know that we expect to put some brain space skin in the game when you initially get into it. We just want to start the business. And so,
Right.
yes, every state it's not just, okay, yeah, I'm an LLC, I got my stuff that says I'm recognized as LLC. It absolutely is okay. And so what industry are you in? If so my whole
Mhm.
point is, and what I want to make sure, and this is like in every episode, we drop
Mhm.
gems that are there, but I don't think in any of the episodes that you have viewed with me have we ever paved this to be like a glittery easy road. It's not. I mean, it's, you're gonna be like, you're gonna have to roll up those sleeves and commit to
Mhm.
different pieces. But there absolutely, are plenty of resources out there. And that's really, I think, and Kristi just has, she's been into this thing for such a long time. But I think you started with this whole, let me get my paperwork life in order, from not
Mhm.
having it in order for so long, right? Like,
Right. Right.
talk about that piece.
Yeah, so for years, and I'm just gonna be honest, I didn't file my
Yeah.
taxes. I was just like,
Hmm.
I'm self-employed,
Yeah.
I'm a sole prop, they ain't
Yes.
gonna find me,
Mhm.
they ain't looking for me.
Right.
Especially after my kids
Right.
got older. I
Yes.
was just like, it was too much of a hassle.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But in order for you to be taken
Yeah.
seriously by banks and lending companies, you have
Mhm.
to have your stuff together.
It's
You
just
have to
no way
have your
around it.
credit in order. You just have to have everything together for people to really consider you for, you know, outside of us, getting those PPP loans, like
Mm-hmm.
where else would you find funding like that?
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
have to go through these institutions, and they're going to look through every little thing,
Mm-hmm.
every little.
And
But what
and
I
Kristi,
appreciated
these were
about
for
the
grants.
process,
You so
yes,
you've been successful in both pots. The
yes, in
initial
both
was
funding
the
and grant.
Nashville recovery, and then
Mhm.
grants.
And yes, and then I went through a veteran entrepreneur program at UT Chattanooga for
Mhm.
a week. Did a pitch contest amongst my cohort and ended up winning a veteran venture award,
Yes.
which came with me being a part of this minority startup accelerator program
Mhm.
and a $15,000 grant. Even
Boom.
with the grant, I have to present my financials.
Mhm.
I have to present my business plan. I have to present my product because it was for my product.
Mhm.
Like all of these things that I have to have in order for me to receive the grant, I have to have my stuff together.
Yes.
Like although this part of my business is new, I still have to have my stuff together.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
And that's, again, and that's just it. To be black and bankable, to be bankable, you're going to have some brain space in the game. You're going to also have to have obviously financials in the game, whether you have just started up or wherever you may be in your business, being prepared really lock it in on those things. But really, I think having Kristi on the show today exemplifies a number of different things. She has been vulnerable in share, and also, me knowing her and her being a client, she has been vulnerable in saying that, there was a time that she was not bankable. So I want to make sure that this real story, this real CEO motivates you. If that equates to you, we absolutely work with, and I'll even say damn near prefer to work with business owners who don't
Mhm.
have their stuff together. Why? Because first of all, I automatically know the level of anxiety that you have about it. I know the level of passion that you have about it. But if I know that you're serious in changing the page in the book of life that you may be in at that given time, then let's absolutely talk, because you absolutely can be bankable. And the problem is, and this is why I created the podcast, because I think while business owners look the same, we all are different, but there are the same challenges. Whether you, and I say it all the time, whether you have one comma or three commas in your bank account, I've seen the same challenges. I've
Mhm.
seen the same look. I ain't did taxes in a number of years. I've seen the same. Well, I know I can pay my bills, but I didn't know I was making that much, or I didn't know I was spending that much, or whatever the case may be. But where I am going with this is that with the billions of dollars that are out there, the nonprofits that have assisted Kristi in Tennessee are are everywhere across states. There are
Mhm.
nonprofits all over the place. But where Black and Bankable and this podcast and my nonprofit and just where my business is as a benefit corporation now is we're in the space to do the hard work, because it's like the money is there and you're here, and all the rest of that shit is in between that's blocking you from here. And it actually takes someone to help you navigate through that to get to the money, but you absolutely can. And there's not a lot of nonprofits that's willing to act, because it actually involves skill in taxes and doing accounting. Not trying to be funny, but it actually involves you knowing how to do these things to get that business owner to the actual money. And so that's my goal of having Kristi on, and Kristi absolutely is going to share her information so that you can connect with her. Yes, she is in DC, in DC is on the brain. She is in Tennessee. However, this is applicable across any states. Being a veteran, being a Black owned business, being a woman owned business, being in the beauty industry, being in the wine and manufacturing industry, being in the hair care product industry. I mean, she's checked off a number of different things because there's logistics there. Obviously in getting in over 50 stores with the wine brand, that's logistics, and so this is a real live, I want to keep saying a real live story. What resonated with you? Where do you see yourself being exactly like Kristi? What part of Kristi's story can help you break through something that has been challenging you right now? What tips and sort of tidbits, Kristi, would you share with business owners that may be in the space that you're in right now?
Just know that regardless of where you are right now, you can pull yourself out of that pit.
Mm-hmm.
I like for years I didn't file my taxes and I just wasn't, these banks were denying me left and
Mm-hmm.
right for credit,
Mm-hmm.
for any type of funding that I was seeking. But just know I've been in business for over 18 years and I'm just now getting funding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here's a lesson to you. Like if you've been in business for a year or 2 years, make sure you do the research out there of your market, of your target. Know your target audience.
Yes.
Know who you want to use your services and your products.
Mm-hmm.
Really dive into that persona. And then that way you can set yourself up to sell to those
Mm-hmm.
individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Know how many people are living in your area that can actually purchase whatever service and product that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll know how to tailor your content
Mm-hmm.
or even your messaging when it comes to attracting that consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing the fact that you can do any and all things as
Mm-hmm.
long as you have the right people behind you. Get you a good accountant,
Mm-hmm.
get you a good legal team. All of this is going to cost money, but it's going to be well worth it in the end.
Yes.
Get you a good marketing team, a PR team, all of this stuff. It's building your brand.
Yes.
Invest in yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because,
Mhm.
it sounds cheesy, but like you're worth it. And another thing that I really want to pull from what Kristi just said when she said, I've been in business 18 years and just kind of being bankable. I think I even want to say, is it going to take you 18 years? You know what I mean? Like that's really what we're talking about. Well, when we say invest in yourself, um, you know, at what point do you want to pretty much guarantee that you're closer than where you may be today, when it comes to being bankable and being profitable? Again, that word that I asked you to write down. And I think that that's really powerful. Just even from a personal perspective, we all know that there are absolutely times in our life where we are the ones in the way of our
Mhm.
own, whatever that decision is, or whatever that situation is. um you know at some point you have to take the accountability for yourself, and
Yeah.
you have
Another
to.
thing,
Yes, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. Another thing that I do is every month I write out goals.
Mm-hmm,
I write
mm-hmm,
out goals
mm-hmm.
that I want to achieve, whether it's the following quarter or just the whole entire
Yes.
year. And I write out when I would like that to happen. And once it's happened, I
Mm-hmm.
do a checklist.
Yes.
And then I go back in and say, hey, these are the remarks. This is how I did it. This is what happened. This is
Mm-hmm.
the result that happened, even if I haven't achieved it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like set goals for your business, for your businesses or
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm-hmm.
That's important too. Just like you journal every day, you should write out your goals for your business
Mm-hmm.
and then set out to achieve each and every one of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. See it in paper.
Yeah.
Actually see it in black and white. See those
Hmm.
numbers, see those goals, base those goals on your numbers, because
Yeah.
that makes it achievable.
Yeah.
Another thing that I say too in group sessions with CEOs is that, I know that there's information overload out there, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a lot of resources and a lot of white noise, a lot of people, on IG, Google University, YouTube University saying this, that, and the other. And, time and time and again, and every time I get the opportunity to say it, and I know that Kristi will share how she was able to cut through the white noise. But where I always tell people when they ask, well, how do you know who to work with? Like what, who do you choose? What attorney do you choose? What accountant do you choose? What whomever do you choose? Particularly in my space, when it comes to taxes and accounting, if you're a business owner, the number one thing that you want to make sure that person does is business taxes. I say it all the time because it's very easy to talk about things like S corps and very easy to talk about P&Ls and just all the different things that people talk about, but it's not until you actually ask that person, like, do you actually do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's important. There's a lot of myths that I find that we bust through, particularly in the tax and accounting field, when I start asking questions and I realize that person may have experienced it on the client end, because that happens. Like, once if you're a successful business owner, now you have a successful business owner turning into a coach based upon their experience. That's a lot of what you see. And so now you're following that person because they are a successful business owner that has experienced an accountant and has experienced a lawyer, has experienced a marketing person, but they have not done those things. Someone has done those things for them. So when you take Kristi's guidance and of course, in Kristi adding the whole veteran piece on there, I can only imagine how much more information that means to have to sort through. But it's just important that whatever specifically you're seeking, that the person that you're seeking it from actually does that thing. That's like the general rule of thumb. If they're talking about being a profitable business, do they do taxes? Do they do accounting? Do they do bookkeeping? That's going to be some good questions to ask to navigate through all these resources. Kristi, something that you want to add to that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's so important for you to know your numbers and for
Mm-hmm.
you to have a good, when I say good bookkeeping,
Mm-hmm.
I'm easy access to
Yeah.
your numbers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to prove those numbers. So
Yes.
make sure you keep an accurate account of
Right.
those numbers. So people can see it. Like, if you're a cash only business, you're
Right.
gonna have to figure out a way to not be cash
Yeah.
only. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to show proof.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what everybody is looking for. But
Yeah.
having those good people in place, they will teach you
Mm-hmm.
how to scale your business so you can be profitable.
Absolutely. Well, so this is again really and truly just an appetizer, because we can go on literally for hours in this, but this is yet another episode again, where we have a business owner in the beauty industry, and in the wine industry, in the logistics, in the manufacturing industry, located in Nashville, Tennessee, and she has shared some tidbits with you. Kristi, how would you like for someone to follow up with you that would have viewed or listened to this podcast?
You can reach out to me at my email address, Kristi@kinkyrootsalon.com. You can send me a message through Instagram,
Okay.
at Kinky Root Salon. But I mean, you can even text me, 615 six zero
Well, there you
five
have
six zero six
it.
zero. Like, I am here to help you become a better you and a
Yes.
better business owner. Like, especially for veterans out there. If
Yes.
you are a woman owned, minority owned, veteran owned business, I am a service disabled connected veteran.
Okay.
So, please, I have learned so much over the last year about the benefits and all the resources that's out there for us, please reach out to me and I will be more than happy to share this information with you.
And she truly means it. I mean, truly means it. When I say heart of gold, person of valor, I mean, that's just who Kristi exudes, and she truly means it. And, and I even told her before coming on the show, I get asked questions all the time from the veteran community. I know how underserved the veteran community is. And I was like, and now I have my very own bankable veteran. So, now I have my very own bankable veteran. And I told her, that I definitely will be hitting you up. I know this has nothing to do with your 3 businesses already, but she truly means it. Like, she truly means it. And also in the beauty space, but Kristi's story, Kristi's successes, how she's overcome, years of challenges and obstacles in lifing. That's a story that I had to share on the show. So, Kristi, I really, really, and truly appreciate you coming on, just as a woman business owner to woman business owner, but most assuredly as a client, for you sharing your genuine story, with our viewers. And y'all, that's it. Like, we I know, again, like, people always say, it's like, man, that's, it's not long enough. We didn't talk about enough. And one of these days, maybe I'll have a whole entire conference. But for now, you have a podcast episode. If you have any questions at all on anything that we covered, or just, maybe some future topics that you'd like Kristi to come back to the show to talk about, we can absolutely do that as well. You can put them in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching a clip on any of the social media channels, or if you're listening to Spotify or Apple. You know how to get in touch with me, and we will absolutely make that happen for you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for tuning in and hearing Kristi's story, and for supporting Black and Bankable. Please share this with your business besties, so that they can get a hold to some of these gems that Kristi dropped. And until next time, I'll see you later.